everyone, Mama Mikey here, and this is a quick video of my impressions for 7th Dragon 3 Code VFD for the Nintendo 3DS, so let's get right into it. Starting off, I want to say I was renting this game from Gamefly, and I loved it so much that I actually ended up keeping it because it was just such a fantastic game. And they sent me the box for the launch edition, which is really cool. This is the box. It was really neat to get a game that came in a box. And so this is the launch edition. It comes with a 28-page art book. And it's really, really cool. And I just wanted to show that to you as well. So opening it up. Oh, it almost... So on the inside you have your standard 3DS game case, and it's got the same information on it that was on the box. It says, "Transcend time, sever fate, the curtain rises now." And this game does involve a lot of time travel, and it's really, really cool because it's not your usual time travel, and we'll talk about that once I get to the impressions. And then looking on the inside, you've got your normal warnings and everything. And then the cartridge for this game is really cool. They went with a very simplistic design. You know, when you look at the cover art, it's very flashy and colorful. But then what they did for the cartridge was very simple, but it looks really good. And then next is the actual art book, which is what's the other thing that's inside the box. On the back here we can see more characters than what's on the front. And going through this, it really goes through and explains the different classes that you can choose from, which we'll also talk about. And then each class you can choose from has just so many different styles. So if you're looking at these characters here, these are your choices. There are 2 choices of a man, 2 choices of a woman, and then each one of those has 3 color variations. And that's how it is for all of the characters in the game. There are 2 men of a certain kind of stylistic, kind of theme, and then 2 women of the same theme. But then each one has 3 different color palettes to choose from. So the art book is really cool, and in addition to the characters, it shows different enemies that you come across, and then too it has some of the different world design concept art as well. So this is a really awesome inclusion, and I'm very happy that they sent me the launch edition when I decided to keep the game. I definitely wasn't expecting to get it. So now to my impressions of the game. I'll start off by saying that 1 hour into this game, I was hooked. In the beginning, there are 4 classes that you can choose from: Agent, Duelist, God Hand, and Samurai. There are more classes available later on in the game, but those are the 4 that you start with. The Agent class utilizes long-range attacks, and they can also inflict status ailments. They can also use hacking to cause enemies to attack each other, and they can also set traps for enemies. The Duelist, which is the class that I chose, is a summoner who uses their mana power to summon creatures from other worlds and also to set traps for enemies. The God Hand class relies on hand-to-hand combat, but they can also heal their allies as well. They have powerful physical attacks, but can also strengthen their teammates. Lastly, the Samurai class is a balance of attack and defense. They can choose to either have a single long sword or dual short swords, and based on the weapon that they choose, they'll have different skill trees available to them. If you're indecisive like I am and you agonize over which class to choose, do not be afraid of this game. You can change your class later on. It will cost you 10 levels, but those later levels, when you're in different worlds and you're going through dungeons, you level up relatively quickly just based on the amount of battles that you do. So those 10 levels really won't be a big hit. The first, 10 levels might go a little bit slower, but once you're later in the game, it won't be such a big gouge if you decide that you really do want to switch characters and see what a different character is all about. And if you're indecisive like me and you agonize over picking a class, fear not. In this game, you have the ability to change your class. It will cost you 10 levels, but that's really not as big of a gouge as it sounds, and it really does make the game so much better to play as a class that you truly enjoy and to buy skills that you really think are cool. I had to do this later on in the game when you create other party members. I really didn't like the one I created. I thought that it would be a class that was perfect for me, and the more that I played with it, the more that I said, I'm just not crazy about this. So I ended up changing the class of that character, and then the rest of the game went so much more smoothly, and I was very happy that I did. So we're just an hour into the story, and the game is just so exciting. The characters are intriguing. I love all of their abilities, and classes are so cool and varied. There's really so much variety in this game just right from the start. There are quite a few dialogue choices right at the beginning of the game, and you keep getting them at a good rate. And for the most part, the choices are really just positive or negative, sort of how you react to situations. If you'd like to be sort of positive and optimistic, or if you rather want to be negative and sort of, pessimistic. Those are really the main choices that you make. Later on, there are some choices that are less black and white, and it's a little bit harder to decide what do I say to make this person feel better or to diffuse the situation. But it's cool because you do get to play how you'd like. If you want to sort of be the wise guy and just kind of be like that negative guy the whole time and kind of bring everyone down, you can do that. Or if you'd like to be upbeat and optimistic, if you'd like to always be the hero, then you can play that way as well. And just like in real life, sometimes there is no silver lining. Sometimes both dialogue options just don't feel right, or both options aren't optimistic. Sometimes it just feels like you just have to either go with a sad route or an angry route. Sometimes there really just is no good thing that you can say, and I really like that, and it makes the game feel very realistic. The story feels heavy and weighted, like my choices really do matter. This game does not make you wait to get into the action. You'll have some fairly easy fights in the beginning so you can get used to your team's abilities and get used to what their skills are, but just a little over an hour in, you're actually fighting the dragons, and it's really awesome. They're all so varied. There's so many cool character and just enemy designs in this game. I'm stunned just by how great that it looks and just all of the variety that's on screen all the time. After you fight your first dragon, the system of creating and upgrading weapons is explained, along with how and where to buy consumables. You can tell that this game is very well done and very polished just from the first 2 hours of playing. The mini-map is perfect. It has all the information that you need, but it is not cumbersome, it is not overdone. The tutorials are brief but very helpful, and there are enough save points scattered around that you don't need to be locked into a 3-hour play session in order to enjoy this game. After your first big mission, you can return to headquarters, and that's where you can learn about construction projects, whereas you can build new weapons, you build new items and gear, so different armor and things that you can get. You upgrade the store so you can buy more and better consumables from it. You can also build yourself a dormitory so that you can rest, refill your health, and as you make friends in this world, they'll leave you bentos, and those will be increasingly better depending on your relationship with the person. And then you can use those in battle as a consumable. Maybe it'll raise your attack by a few points, raise your defense by a few points, or they have ones that'll completely refill your health, refill your mana. They have different ones that the better friends you become with people, the better bentos they'll leave you in your dormitory. And you can also ask your teammates to make them for you, and the same thing, the better friends that you are, the better bentos they'll leave. At headquarters is also where you start to take on side quests as well, and these are short but they're enjoyable, and all of them add a little bit more personality into the game. And they give really good rewards for fairly easy tasks. The side quests don't really ramp up in difficulty throughout the game, so I enjoy that. It's a nice break while you're not playing the main story quests, and you still get really good rewards for doing them. So now we have got everything covered. We know how to build new weapons, create new party members, change our class. The game has got you set up fairly well for the 30 to 40 hour story. I'll say that in those first 3 hours, it is a great launch point. The game gets you very integrated into the world and into the system of picking up new quests and completing them, getting the construction assignments and completing those as well. You're really set up beautifully to keep going with the game on your own without any overly long or boring tutorials. You've got all the information you need, and all those tutorials are available to view again, but none of them are so long that it's over-explaining anything. And because the tutorials aren't overly long, you want to go and explore, and you want to go find new things for yourself. This is a game that really has you exploring every nook and cranny of the map, and because that mini-map is so well done and it's absolutely not inaccurate at all, it's really fun to explore, and it's really easy to explore as well. The game is divided into chapters, so every couple of hours you'll complete a a really big quest, and then the screen will dim and it'll say Chapter 2, Chapter 3. It gives you a really good sense of accomplishment and of moving the story forward. I didn't look up ahead of time how many chapters there were, so it was nice to just keep pushing along and knowing that you're being sort of pushed to the next segment of the story. Each time that you start a new area, it is infested with dragons, and there is just so much tension in each battle because areas that are rich in dragons, while you're in a fight, a notification will appear at the top. There are notifications throughout the battle of what the enemy's doing, what your teammates are doing, and there will be notifications that'll say a dragon is right around the corner or a dragon is fast approaching, and it's possible for dragons to get into your fight if you're fighting either just a normal enemy that's sort of running around, or if you're fighting another dragon, another one can butt into the fight, and suddenly you're fighting 2 or 3 dragons. It's really cool, it adds a lot of tension. You also have to be strategic and really plan your fights. If there's 3 dragons sort of clumped together, wait and see, do they break apart, or do you think you can take all 3 at once in a battle? There's a lot of strategy to this game, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. You really have to make the most of each team member that you have and make the most of their skills and abilities. The battles themselves are really fun. The menu system for picking what you're going to do, picking your next action, it's very clear and straightforward. If you haven't played a lot of RPGs or haven't played one at all before, they really get you integrated into the system very quickly, and you pick this up really fast. There are parts of the story where your team will break up, so if you've created a team of 6, you'll break up into 3 and 3. If you've created a team of 9, later on you'll have, 3, 3, and 3, and you'll break up to do 3 separate tasks. I think this is really fun. It stretches out the gameplay. You'll have this huge area, but you're really doing 2 different things. So your first team will go and take out, let's say, a high dragon in the area. Then you'll get to play as the second team. And it's really great to be able to play as completely different party members, a completely different team altogether, figuring out how you can chain your attacks together to do the most damage. And then you'll have your third team doing a separate task. Being able to do all 3 tasks, it might be a few hours block of gameplay, but it doesn't feel drawn out because you're playing as different classes, different party members, and so each new block of gameplay just feels completely different. I wanted to keep fighting monsters, I wanted to keep saving civilians. There's one point in the game where you can save cats if you find them, and you open a cat cafe, and that will refill your health, and it's just so cute and so charming. And then you'll see a cat somewhere and you have to go save it, or you see a person and you want to go save them. So saving civilians and saving cats, you motivate yourself. You don't have to do these things at any point, but you do sort of get motivated to do it because you're having so much fun playing the game. 12 hours into this game, it still felt new and fresh. I'll say that this game is one of the best Nintendo 3DS games in terms of utilizing those 2 screens. This is a game that I don't think would work on any other platform. You need those dual screens. You don't have to constantly switch to look at the map, and that's part of why it's so easy to explore. I'll just say that this game makes full use of the Nintendo 3DS's capabilities, and I just wouldn't play it on any other platform. It's perfect for the 3DS, like it truly is a game made for the 3DS, and I just can't believe how good it is. I knew that I would like this game. As soon as it was announced that it was coming to America for a North American release, I was thrilled. I knew that I would enjoy this game, but I didn't expect it to stick with me like it has, and I'll admit that I cried at the ending because it was just so touching. It was so heartfelt. And it was literally the perfect ending for this game. I just couldn't believe how they completed the story, tied all the loose ends, and it was truly perfect. It was a story like I hadn't played before, and I just enjoyed it so much. But I cried at the end, and it really stuck with me. And if I think about it, I'll start to cry because this game is just so fantastic. And it really does just linger in your heart for a little while. The 41 plus hours that I've spent in this game, and the more time that I'm going to go back and play even more of it because there's still so much to do, this game has been a masterpiece from start to finish, and I truly recommend it to anyone who's interested in this game please give it a try. It is simply fantastic. If you want a game for your 3DS, if you haven't played it in a while, or if you're an avid 3DS player and you've run out of things to play, give this a try. You might not be into it at first, or like I said, the classes are all so different that you might pick one and really dislike it. That happened to me. But be willing to change, be willing to try new things, and this game will reward you. After completing the game, a final dungeon unlocks, and so then you can get even better weapons and more things. I have not finished that yet, so I just love that there's even more to it. The only other con that I have for this game is the sound design is not that great. Some of the areas have soundtracks that are really they just get stuck in your head, but not in a good way. They're clunky, or they're just not very good soundtracks. Some of the areas have beautiful music, and you just love all of the music in that section of the game. But some of the worlds just don't have it. Some of them just kind of sound like pots and pans clanging together. And also, too, the sound design is very simplistic. Your footsteps the whole time is the same sound, just repeated over and over. And so it can get a little bit annoying during long play sessions. That being said, I usually play my 3DS on mute. Usually I'm either, hanging out with my roommate, maybe they're watching TV, I'm playing the 3DS, maybe they're playing a game on their console and I'm playing the 3DS. So I usually keep it muted anyways. So this isn't a game where you're missing anything great if you do play with this game muted. Maybe you're playing it on the train or on the bus. This isn't a game where you'll be really missing anything if you do play with the sound off. And that's a very small con for such a fantastic game, but it is my one real con, was that the sound design is not fantastic. So those are my impressions of 7th Dragon 3 Code VFD. Let me know in the comments below if you've played this game. I highly recommend it to anyone looking for a new 3DS game to play. I really hope that they bring more of these games to North America. I know that there are a few out in Japan already, so I really hope that we get more of these games in the future. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you next time. Bye!